Today I wanted to talk a little bit more about Tracfone plans and refills for smartphones. Now, if you saw my video on Saturday, I answered a viewer question about the different plans and refills. Now you can head on over to Tracfone.com and you can see the different plans and refills available for smartphones. Now they have the smartphone only plans and the pay-as-you-go plans, and I talked about those on Saturday. Now, one thing I did want to point out was that when I was going through these plans on Saturday, I missed a detail here. You have this $80 plan and this $100 plan, and I commented on the $100 plan having less minutes than the $80 plan, and the reason for that is the $80 plan is only valid for 90 service days, while the $100 plan is valid for 365 days. So I missed that before I published the video. Thought I'd just point that out. Now, when I was going through these pay-as-you-go plans and then the smartphone-only plans, I was kind of wondering, what are you really paying per minute, per text, and per megabyte? So I decided to put together a table and take a look at that. So if you head on over to smartphonematters.com and you look in my article, you'll see this table, and if you click on it, it'll expand. Now, what I did is I took the pay-as-you-go refills as well as the smartphone-only plans, and then I listed out the details here. So the cost, the number of minutes, text, and megabytes included, as well as the number of service days. And then this next set of columns, what I did was I figured out the cost per minute, the cost per text, the cost per megabyte, and then I threw in a column just to look at what the cost per gigabyte was. Now, the way I figured out the cost of a minute and a text and a megabyte was to take the price of the refill and then divide it by 3. And then I divided the number of minutes, text, or megabytes into 1/3 the price of the plan. And that's how I came up with the cost per minute, per text, and per megabyte. Now, you'll notice that all these plans include the same number of minutes, text, and megabytes. Now, over here, I calculated the yearly cost. I put average cost per year, but that is the cost per year. And then the most expensive plan would be $320. The least expensive plan is $80. Now, if we look down at the cost per minute, we'll see that the plan with the lowest cost per minute is this 1500 minute refill. It'll cost you 1.5 cents per minute, and then it will be the same cost for texts and for megabytes of data. And then if you calculate out what you're paying per gigabyte, it's $14.81 per gigabyte. So this is by far the least expensive plan for data here. Now, as far as cost per year, this plan would cost you $200. So it's kind of in the middle of the high and the low, where the high is $320 and the low is $80. Now, the way I figured out the cost per year was I looked at the price of the refill and then the number of service days that it was valid for. And then I figured out how many refills you'd have to buy to get a year's worth of service. And then I divided that by 12. Now, that's not completely accurate because for the 3 plans that are 1-year plans, those are for 365 days. But when I did these calculations for the 30 and 90-day plans, I just multiplied by 12, so it would really be 360 days of service. So the table's a little bit off because all the Tracfone monthly plans or monthly refills are for 30 days. And I didn't include state sales tax or any fees that Tracfone might charge. Now, I think that Tracfone may charge these service fees if you're using auto refill or if you pay by credit card online. I'd have to go back and find an old bill and see what they charged. Now, finally, over here, what I did was I figured out what was the average minutes you were getting per month, the average text, and the average number of megabytes you were getting per month with each of these plans. You could see the most expensive, the $320 a year, you'd be getting 450 minutes per month, 450 text messages, and 450 megabytes of data per month. Now, I also use the same calculations for the smartphone only plans, but you'll notice that the number of minutes, text, and megabytes are different on these plans. So they kind of mixed it up a little bit, but I used the same cost calculation. I took 1/3 of the price of the plan, and then I divided the number of minutes, text, or megabytes into that to figure out the cost per minute, per text, per megabyte. Maybe that's not the most accurate way to do it. Now, for the older Tracfone plans, I think the way they used to do it was that you just purchased minutes, and then a text message would cost you either 0.3 minutes or 0.5 minutes, and then the same thing for a megabyte of data. It would cost you either 0.3 minutes or 0.5 minutes. There were some advantages to that because you could then just get a whole bunch of minutes and you could use those for whichever of the three you needed. So if you needed more minutes, you could use it for voice. If you needed more data, you could use those minutes for data. But they don't seem to do that for smartphones, and I think they're getting away from that on their basic phones too. But now if we look over here at the cost on the smartphone only plans, we'll see that the least expensive minutes are 1.6 cents per minute, and that's on this $35 plan. Now this is $35 for 60 days of service, so it's actually $17.50 a month. If you want to see the monthly cost, look over here in this average cost per month column. Now it looks like the least expensive data is on this $20 plan. You get 300 minutes, 1,000 texts, and 1 gigabyte of data. That's 1,000 megabytes of data for $20. So you'd actually be paying about $6.67 per gigabyte of data. Now that's if you agree with the way that I did the calculations for each of these things. And then the most expensive data would be $27.78 per gigabyte, and that was on the $125 plan, which came with 1,500 minutes, 1,500 texts, and 1.5 gigabytes of data. Now, I do want to point out that minutes, texts, and megabytes remain on your account as long as it's active. So once you purchase these things, you'll carry them over as long as you keep your account active, so they don't expire. Now, in terms of data, if you look at the Tracfone.com website, they have a third category here, which we talked about last time, the service add-ons. And you can buy a gigabyte of data for $10. So a gigabyte is 1,000 megabytes of data. So you would be paying about a penny per megabyte. So now if we go back and look over here, if you agree with my calculations, the data on this $20 plan is actually even cheaper than buying the add-on data. And again, that's if you agree with the way I calculated the costs per minute, per text, and per megabyte of data. All right, well, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. I just wanted to show you I put this together. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Let me know if you see any problems with the table, if you think I should calculate the cost per minute, per text, and per megabyte differently. All right, I think that's going to be it for this video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for watching.